When you are starting a startup, you will come on a stage where you have to choose technology to build your whole software. And if you do a wrong selection here, it is going to increase the development time as well as reach to market time for your company. Well, in this video, we are trying to see the common challenges often this software founders make, and many of these come from software background. So we will also see that what are the common mistakes they think of and how we can resolve it. In this video, we are also going to talk about some of the tools and resources. And let me tell you that none of these are sponsored and all of these are available for free. And you can use this as a first time founder. You just need the server or the hosting resources and you can get started. There is no such monthly fee or SaaS fee. Let us get started with the very first one, new technology stack. You know engineers, right? Engineers love solving problems, and when they see a new technology stack like Deno.js has been an alternate to Node.js and engineers has gone crazy with it. Many a times on HackerRank it has ranked for just because how awesome it is, and people say that, and a lot of engineers get FOMO when they go to this hacker news and they see that wow, Deno.js is new, it's so hot, it is so efficient. But then you also need to understand that the community around this is yet not big, and the resources to solve problems when your engineers will face is yet not big enough to solve all the challenges. Well, in this, you have to choose the technology stack that you know, not the new in the industry, because most of this technology is going to do the same thing, which you'll be achieving either from the old technology as well as the new technology. New technology many times might be efficient, but your startup or your first version of the application would not require that efficiency to go. It's good to have it, but as a first time startup founder, you need to look at that which resources are easily available to you and which one can make your whole work faster and make your go to market much faster than the new technology, which can take months and months of time and sometimes years to implement. A very simple example, people often look down at LampStack, but LampStack is still very popular, and more than 26% of the websites still run on LampStack. That means that these websites are based on WordPress and they run the market share is not going any down, and all despite having hundreds and hundreds of new technology coming in, this technology stack still persisted. So if you are someone who is coming from this background, it is still a good stack, you should use it. And as you go further, you'll see challenges and you'll have money, you can hire engineers to build your new application on MoonStack or MoonStack with GraphQL, which can be really efficient in client servicing. Number two, thinking scalability. Well, what do I mean by scalability? Well, people who are releasing their first version of the application tend to build it for first million or billion users. God knows why. Because initial days of the application, you are not going to have a lot of users. So even though if it is monolith or it is microservice or it is cloud, it really doesn't matter. If your user experience is good enough, when they are trying to register, your application registers them, when they are trying to fetch the data, it is visible. If all these basic criteria are met, then you don't need actually the GraphQL or any kind of scalable system in the beginning of your application. As you grow further, you will startup will have funds and money to fund all this development, and if you focus on this scalability things like Kubernetes, Docker, microservices, nano services, and all these applications initially and the processes initially, then you are going to lose a lot of money, and that can create a lot of issue. And it's not just about money, it also increases the deployment time, go to market time, which is very challenging. Because let's say there are two ways you are going to start this company, one by raising funds or second one is by bootstrapping. So if you are trying to raise funds, a very strong metric comes that what is the user base, how big is the user base, what the user is doing, how much money they have paid. And if you are using a new technology stack, these things are going to be delayed by 6 months, 9 months, and that is going to be very challenging. So try to use the technology stack which is known to you, the things which are available to you, and that will make it very faster. And Even the investor would be interested because you have users and probably you have paid users. Number three, combining many applications with a single application. What do I mean by that? A lot of companies host their website on the main domain and they host their web application on subdomain. But also the engineers who work with you, they say that both can be combined in a single code base and it can be managed easily. But it is not as easy as it sounds. The problem becomes when you have to do some kind of changes on the landing page or home page or contact form. All the time you need to have engineers to make this thing happen. The other benefit of having this separate code base is that if you have to upgrade the technology, you can actually upgrade the technologies in one stack, and then you can just let the marketing stack be there. The marketing website will be up and running. The app may go down for some time, so keeping the technology stack on subdomains, separate from marketing to app, it really helps you in managing the application well. Number four, basic security. When you are trying to deploy your application on any kind of server, make sure that it follows all the basic security criteria. For example, having HTTPS in the URL. I know you might be thinking that you need to spend 5 to 10,000 rupees on purchasing the SSL from GoDaddy and then you need to implement it. Not really. If you can't afford that, you can simply have the Let's Encrypt SSL, which is freely available for all the foundation applications to be used, and you can use it too for your application. As you go further and you have more and more users, then you can invest in a custom SSL and then you can go further. Yes, I know what you are thinking. Are these available permanently? Like, are they available for free for lifetime? No, they are not available for free for lifetime. You need to actually upgrade it every 1 month. So there are also NVM resources which can actually upgrade it on its own. So if you can upgrade it every month, it is going to be forever free and you can simply use it. Number five, behavioral tracking. Now, behavioral tracking can be very important for your application. As you understand that what exactly people are doing on your website, you will be able to make better decisions. Maybe improving the landing page, maybe changing the pricing, or maybe putting the contact form on the top rather than at the bottom. So all this information helps you in improving the overall web application, and it is very important to track the behavior of your user when they visit on your website. Of course, you have to be GDPR compliant. So you can use a tool called Hotjar. For first 100 sessions it is free to record, and you can simply insert a head tag, JavaScript tag, and it will be recording all the visitors who will be coming on specific page. Okay, so that's an interesting tool which you can use. Also, along with that, behavioral tracking is used for securities. Like, that means that if someone is trying to do any kind of DDoS attack or password stuffing attack, this is very important, and you have to keep your customers secure. If these attacks become successful in getting any kind of user level account, it can be really problem for your customers. They can lose trust and they may never come back. So make sure that you have things like Cloudflare, and in Cloudflare by default you have some security features enabled which basically tracks that these people are actually hackers, and when they make a request many times to a server, Cloudflare actually by default blocks all the requests there itself. So without doing anything, it basically gives you a very free security which can cost you a lot of money if you are trying to hire a security level expert, right? So if you have this resource, it can make things easier. Let me tell you that implementing Cloudflare does not give you 100% security, but then it saves you many times because it already knows the actor who is trying to attack you, and then it tries to prevent it. Number six, releasing your features one by one. Many a times I have seen founders that what they do is they basically build the whole product and then they go to the market and then they say that okay, this is the whole product and this is what we have, and then finally customer may accept it or reject it. And when these products are completely built, the company has already invested a lot of money in building these products, which means that if there has to be some kind of major change, then it is going to require a lot of engineering resources. That means that they have to revise the whole work. So while you are trying to build a product, make sure from the beginning, from probably the first feature, you actually go and talk to the client and say them that this is how it is going to look like. And why just one client? Try to talk 20 clients and try to say and discuss with them that this is how it is going to look like, this is how it is completed and this is the next thing which we are going to do, and then there and there they will give you the feedback if they would require that feature in the future, or if they would like the feature in the future. And if they don't like it, you can quickly change the requirement from there itself. You don't need to build the whole application and go back and revise the whole process. It is going to cost you a lot of time, resource and efforts to make the thing. So make sure that you release one by one feature and then you go on this process systematically. There are basically three SDLC, software development lifecycle strategies, which you can follow here: Agile, Scrum and Kanban. These are three general strategies which is used in software development, and you can use any of one. Use the one which is the most efficient for you and keeps your team concentrated and focused on software development. If you are not sure, try to talk your team lead or try to talk your software developer who can give you input on that, and he can share his taste that what kind of project management or life cycle management software he really likes. I should not stress enough on a very important thing which a lot of startups miss: documentation. Yes, I know it sounds boring, but it is very, very important. Tech employees are not secure. You cannot consider them as a permanent resource in your company. If they get a better offer, they may leave your company in 30 days or probably from tomorrow. Now, being in a secure position gives you the ability to control the company. So make sure that documentation of your product is available, especially from system design point of view. And any kind of resource which can be really, really important for the project is with the documentation. And if these things are not maintained, you may lose control. Some of the worst cases where company has lost control on the whole code base has been 6 months before. One of the most popular company named Ola, it has lost control on its application because all the software developers or major software developers who worked on the main application and core application left the company, and finally the team had no documentation and they just had the code base, and the company was scared to give them access to the code base because they thought that if they touch anything, the company will lose the access and the application may crash. There are two tools which can make everything simpler for you. One is Swagger. Swagger is an API documentation tool. It basically simplifies the whole documentation process, unlike the old systems where you had to copy paste and do a lot of things. And second one is Docusaurus, which is basically open source by Facebook. So both the solutions are available for free. You just need to host it and you should be in good position. Number 8. The conversion flow complex. What do I mean by that? Well, I have seen startups who do not define very clearly in the very first fold of the website that what exactly their product do. When you don't explain the customers that what exactly the product do, your customers become confused and they look for solutions further. So make sure that while you are trying to define the message, the content and the paragraphs are very, very clear and defines the product in a very simplest way possible. If you fail to do so, your customers and client may get confused and finally they may not sign up for your product. So make sure that these things happen, and you do not create issue for that by creating multiple pages. Number 9, social login. I know you are coming from an engineering background and you think that Google takes all the data, Facebook takes all the data, Twitter takes all the data, and you don't want to share it. But let me ask you that would you be interested in logging in with a Google account, or would you be interested in filling a 7-field form to sign up for a product? Probably you are going to choose the Google login. For the same reason customers use the Google login. It is very, very simple and it takes them where they have to go. So while you are trying to build a product, do not create a field which is 7 field to just sign up for the product. Try to go around, try to give them a simple way to get into the product and let them explore the product, and try to ask them data one by one or in a set so that the whole experience is not ruined. Number 10, do not over engineer your product. when you are trying to build a kind of UI which can simplify the experience for the customer, try to do it one by one. Do not try to add 10 machine learning models just to define that where the user is from or what the user might be liking. If you can ask the customer directly, and which can take 10 to 15 seconds to fill, just ask the customer directly that we may improve your user experience if you give us the information, and they will be interested in giving that rather than putting all machine learning models which can really be expensive to run and train. Number 11, UI for your audience. What do I mean by that? Well, many a times when software development companies build application, or when you are trying to build your product for very first time, you do not consider your audience in the very beginning. Let us say that if your audience is millennials, they are going to be very familiar with UI which is given in material UI. But then if your audience is around 60, they have got used to links and buttons. So whenever something is clicked, they see a kind of result. So do not try to depend a lot on swaps, left swap, right swap or bottom swap to see or build the application for your 60s. So make sure that you analyze the audience which you have and then see that what kind of UI they have got used to, because these people are not very comfortable with material UI design which you are building or the latest and greatest hand gestures which you are going to put it in the system. Try to make it simpler for them so they can use your application and try to see from their point of view, not just your point of view. It can really change the way people try to interact with your application, and especially for these people, a fewer features will make sense. A lot of features may give headache to them because they do not like a lot of engineering, right? So I hope that these 11 points were helpful for your company, and then you can implement them in improving your startup. If you have any suggestions or you think that I have missed any point, try to comment down below and we'll try to add them in the future video, and then we'll try to improve the content overall. I hope that the video was interesting for you, and I will try to see you in the next video. Bye bye.